I have created a brand new way of playing NCAA Football 14, the 4-tiered college football pyramid. College football is on a weird path. Big-name schools are jumping for money. Conference TV contracts are insane. And in the last 8 years, only 6 unique teams have advanced to the national championship game. Hope has seemed to vanish for some schools, especially at the group of 5 level. Let's make it all matter again. Let's bring back hope. Bring in the college football pyramid. So how does this 4-tier football pyramid bring hope back to college football and NCAA Football 14? Well, if you just look at the example of the English football pyramid, you can see that every single one of these teams on this list have a shot of moving up in their football pyramid, which means each team has a shot of making it to the top. Every team has the hope that they will one day be at the top of their league. And not only that, they compete every single day, because if they're terrible, they're going down a level. It brings that much more excitement to college football. So here is the 4-tier football pyramid that I have created. So each division is separated into geological areas. Each team is slotted into regions so that each region have an equal amount of teams, with 31 or 32 on the two sides, so that each of the two sides have 63 teams total. And then each team within that geological area are sorted by their overall. So this is the distribution of the geological regions. I had to do a little bit of moving into the Central Division for the West because they could not get to 31 teams, so I had to include Kansas into their region to equal 31 total teams. So here is Tier 1. This has 12 teams total, which has the 2 divisions. So when sorting by overall, each team, the top team, was slotted into the first division. And then the number 2 team overall was slotted into the second division, third team, second division as well, then the fourth team into the first division. Kind of that snake pattern to create even divisions to start us all off. So the conference champion faces each Tier 1 conference in the Rose Bowl or the Orange Bowl, and they alternate who they play each year on a 3-year rotation basis. So the Pac-12, for example, are going to face the Big 12 in year 1. And then in year 2, they'll play the SEC. And then in year 3, they'll play the ACC. And then they'll repeat that same pattern over and over. And if you are the worst of all the teams in Tier 1, you will move down to Tier 2. They have 10 teams in each conference, so that there are no divisions. So we have the Mountain West, the Big Ten, the American Conference, and the MAC Conference. So in Tier 2, they will also play in the BCS Bowl games. And the champions will be in the Fiesta Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. And it works the same way as Tier 1. They rotate who they play each year for those 3 years. So now, moving down to Tier 3. In Tier 3, they have 12 teams total with divisions. So each division is separated by each geological region. So there are 6 teams. So for the Conference USA, there are 6 teams in one division, and then in the second division, they will have 6 teams. And in the Conference Championship, those 2 divisions will face each other. And then lowly Tier 4. These are the rest of the teams that didn't get slotted into Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. There are 14 teams total, 3 from the West, 4 in the Central, 4 in the Southeast, and 3 in the Northeast. So, how does promotion work within these regions? So, for the independents, they're the bottom, so they won't have any teams be relegated. But the champion to be determined by various factors, because the independents don't have conference games. It'll be determined by overall record within the independents. It'll be kind of a judgment area for the independents. But the winner will move up along their geological area. So if they're in the West or the Central, they'll move up to the Conference USA, and that team within that region will drop down to the independents, or same thing with Sunbelt for the Southeast and Northeast. So then, in the Conference USA, you have the conference champion. If the conference champion's from the West, they move to the Mountain West. If the champion is in the Central region, they move to the Big Ten. So if you're in Tier 2, you could be the worst team, but you still have that shot of staying in that Tier 2 level if the conference champion in Tier 3 wasn't within your geological region. And the same thing happens for the Sun Belt, moving up to the American if you're in the Southeast, or the MAC if you're in the Northeast, and same thing with that relegation. And then from Tier 2 to Tier 1, there's no divisions within the Mountain West, Big Ten, American, or the MAC, so the winner will move up into their region. The worst team of Tier 1 will move down, and each team stays within their region. So Tier 1, there will always be somebody being relegated. In Tier 2, there will always be somebody that drops down, but only one team rather than two. And then in the Conference USA, there might be somebody that drops down. Good teams are blessed by staying up and really rely on who is the best team amongst the bottom teams. So how does promotion and relegation fully work? There are some added protections in there. So if a team moves up a tier, then they have a 2-year protection, meaning if they say somebody from the Conference USA moves up into the Mountain West, if they are the worst team in the Mountain West the next year, they don't get relegated automatically and it goes to the next team. They have a 2-year protection. You get rewarded for being good each year. And with that protection, if somebody were to, in the same example, if the Conference USA were to move to the Mountain West and then they were the best in the Mountain West, they're allowed to move up to that Tier 1. Same thing, independents, you can go straight up all the way to Tier 1 in just 3 years. Now, what about relegation? Now, you can fall multiple levels each year, but if you fall down 2 consecutive tiers, you have protection. So, following that same example, if you have the worst team in the Pac-12, you drop down to the Mountain West. Then you're the worst team in the Mountain West, and you drop down, you're stuck at that Tier 3 level for at least 1 more year. You can't drop straight down from Tier 1 all the way to the independents. Now, if you are relegated, you cannot move up this season after moving down. So, using that same example, you're a team in the Mountain West, you're the worst team. You drop to the Mountain West. Now, if you are the best team in the Mountain West that next year, you don't get to move up. You get to compete in the bowl game, but you don't get to move up as a punishment for being bad. So the system is here to work as benefiting those lower teams and punishing the teams that are not good. We're looking to build dynasties so that multiple teams are good, not just a couple. So, while introducing the teams that were in each tier, some of you may have noticed that some team builder teams are located in there. Each of these teams were created back when the Team Builder website worked and are still on my PlayStation. So this last section is to introduce those teams to you. The first one is Second Haven. They'll be starting out in the Pac-12 with an overall of 91 and are the 3rd best team in the West region. This team plays fast and has great speed. Elton Havasek, the quarterback, is the glue of this offense. The defense is the strong suit that is full of big, strong players. Vimy Isu and Rivami are the heart of the defense and clog up the middle. Farmington is starting out in the Mountain West with an overall of 83. They are the third best team in the Mountain West by overall. They are led by their 2 freshman wide receivers and their quarterback Thad Cabral. This team plays a spread type offense but are more inclined to pass the ball with their amazing wide receiver crew. The offense is the power of this team. The University of Alaska is starting out in the Mountain West with an overall of 81. They are a team that is spotlighted by their special teams. Stacy Weeks is a pro-level kicker and only a junior. This team runs an air raid type offense. It would not be surprising to have them not run the ball the entire game. They have a solid group of wide receivers and a solid quarterback room. Rapid City is located in South Dakota. They will start in the Conference USA in the West Division with an overall of 74. The team was originally designed to force decisions on who was going to start based on their team style. You will notice that all of the positions are around the same overall. This was to emphasize needing to choose the best players for the style. The team currently runs a multiple style offense that is headed by the legendary coach Casey Mitchell. Casey has had his name entered into NFL conversations from his past performances and now brings that to Rapid City. Minnesota Tech will start in the Big Ten at the Tier 2 level and has an overall of 83. They have a fantastic defensive line and really rely on them. They are geared to run the ball, and the guy that leads that charge is the strong Buck Irons. Joplin is located in Missouri and will start in the Big Ten. They start with an overall of 79, but they have an overall offense rating of 93 and a defensive rating of 66. They rely heavily on their offense. They play a style of play that is an old-fashioned of just running it down the throat. The real strength of the offense is with the running back and offensive line. Ali Brigham is a dominator, and his backup Lou Ferwarda is also incredible. The offensive line is amazing and geared for the run. Their previous head coach was famous for being able to get all the outstanding offensive line talent before he retired. What holds this team back is that 66 overall defense. Nebraska Kearney will start in the Independence tier and is part of the Central region. Their overall to start is 72, making them the second worst team in the Central region. This team is a typical low overall team that is very balanced all around with no real standouts. That also matches their style of play, being very balanced and conservative. Lastly, Billows Falls hails from Vermont and starts in the Independence tier and part of the Northwest region. They are 67 overall team and the second worst team in the Northwest region. Slade Berry is the leader of the team even as a freshman. Even though he isn't the best at this stage, he works hard each and every day and the team follows his leadership. Some of my favorite guys outside of Slade are wide receiver Cowan and Beck and linebacker Yusuf Newsom. The last 2 team builder teams are going to be the teams that I am going to use in the Dynasty. I will be going into more detail on those 2 teams in their own separate videos. This is going to be an exciting series, an event to watch. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single video in this series. Be sure to click on the videos where I take on the challenge of being a modern triple option team with the worst team ever designed, and the other where I try to turn a team from a small town in Montana into the next Alabama.